Teamster Power 767 Reality Check with Jeff Schenfeld and Garfield Hooper. All right, welcome to another episode of Teamster Power Reality Check. Today, we're getting right to it. We're going to talk about Article 10, Loss and Damage. Loss and damage, Garfield. Loss and damage.
Yeah, this is something that I haven't had to deal with a whole lot with. I've never actually seen anybody really charged under this for the company try to go after. I don't know if you have. Have you known of anybody that's the company trying to go after?
They've tried to collect some money and they try to do it quick, and over the years it's been a couple of times, not a lot, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a handful of times, but we put a stop to it right away. They want to quickly try to do it. Why? Because they want to get reimbursed because the company's not making money. Is that what that is?
Yeah, I guess. Our profits aren't quite enough for Carol.
Profit margin.
Yeah.
Yep. Guess we're gonna have to. They're gonna have to
cut 30,000 more jobs.
So just keep that one.
Yeah, we're going to read a little bit of this article just to cover a little bit of it. I would certainly encourage anybody to read over this, especially the last one, because it's certainly the last section could certainly help you out of something. But we'll cover that when we get to it.
Yep.
Article 10, Loss and Damage, Section 1. No employee shall make a reimbursement or have monies deducted from their pay or for loss or damage to parcels, except as provided in this section. No employee shall be disciplined or required to make reimbursement for lost or damaged parcels unless the employer demonstrates that the employee, without justification or mitigation, violated pertinent established rules or policies, the observance of which would have prevented the loss or damage. In no event shall a driver be subject to reimbursement for loss or damage to a driver-released parcel valued at $100 or less. The employer will provide each driver a current list of driver release areas and all non-driver release areas within the driver's area upon request. Just a little bit more here. An employee who is charged for loss or damage by the employer shall not be subject to both discipline and reimbursement.
Very important.
Yeah.
Very important.
The employer will clearly notify the employee and the union of its intent to either discipline or seek reimbursement. No employee shall be subject to discipline or reimbursement unless the employer brings the loss or damage to the employee's attention within 15 days of receiving written shipper notice of claim.
Yeah. So before, remember, it's been a couple of times I've had to deal with this, just in general, where the companies try to do it, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, they're gonna, we're gonna have to give them this discipline, and we want to reimburse. Put the brakes on. You're not doing both.
Yeah.
It's actually come up. And I think for every steward out there that's to deal with this stuff, like, you need to deal with these situations. So that's why knowing the whole contract is very important, because if you're in there and you're not sure, then just step out.
And it's also, like, once again, and we had something not like this, but a similar situation where a driver, spoke up during the hearing process, and he got in more trouble by opening his mouth than he would have if he'd kept it shut. And, like, I cannot stress you guys enough, if you're in there with your steward, let them do their job. Let them do the talking.
Yeah.
If you need something, if you need to tell them something or whatever, reach over and whisper in their ear, or, give them a gesture or something, and they'll call a caucus, and you can go outside and talk to them in private without management overhearing. Say less. Don't get yourself in more trouble by opening your mouth.
Yeah, I mean, that's less is more, obviously.
Yeah, but for instance, with this stuff here, I've heard people talk about, having to reimburse for things, not in my center, because, like I said, I've never actually had to deal with this. But, just follow the rules. Do the best of your knowledge. Hide your packages. There's cameras everywhere. Could they go after this stuff? Could they go after you for a reimbursement? Yeah, but they also have to prove that you did something wrong in order to get a reimbursement from it, and not just follow the established rules.
Yes, it's their burden of proof. They have to,
Yeah,
they have to establish that. And what they'll do is, and the reason why the stewards say don't talk, less is more,
yeah,
they go fishing.
yeah.
They go fishing.
They absolutely will
And
fish.
that's the problem. That's
Yes.
important that as a member, as a steward, they both know what the company is exactly doing. And there was times where they would drive or release apartments, and they're saying one time I was in the office, oh, it was put here, not here, and and I'm like, so you're saying it was put here, not here, so they're responsible for this because it wasn't put here. And I'm like, okay, show me where the proof is. Okay, let me see. You know? And and here's another thing. Here's a separate thing. Like they said, like a completely different issue, but just to show how management would be or are, right? They said a member didn't scan a package, right? They love their no scans,
Yeah.
right? So and then they come up in the hearing with the package, a picture of the package, saying they didn't scan it, right? So and I'm looking, I'm like, that's the UPS building. That's not the Best Buy that he was delivering to. So like, why if it's at the UPS, that means it wasn't on his truck. You know what I'm saying? Like it wound up working out that way, and the supervisor was like, well, no, that's not the important part here. Now I'm like, just like, right, okay, like seriously, but they will, and
Yeah.
as we've noticed, I mean, they have gotten everything now is no matter what discipline, even more so. Like it's always been that way, but it's more so. It's
Oh yeah.
like do this,
Discipline has increased tenfold.
take an option day for an ice day that was supposed to be under emergency conditions, but wasn't, but they were sheeting things as emergency conditions. But that's not for today, right? That's just,
No.
but
No, the company's position.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
What's the company's position? I don't give a rat's ass what the fucking company's position is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's absolutely not. So, moving on to here. So
Yeah.
what happens is if an employee is found responsible for two reimbursements, they can get a warning letter. Okay. In addition to being responsible for reimbursement, should a third loss occur in the same 12-month period. So here's the thing. You can't let them just get away with saying this was your fault, this is your fault, because
Yeah.
then they'll use it. It's progressive discipline,
Yeah.
basically. So you got to establish. You can't just, as a steward, be, standing in there or with the member and just like this.
Yeah.
Ask questions, do what you have to do. Every single part of the process is important. So
Yeah, that's the main part of section 1.
yeah,
Obviously if you do have to reimburse, like you don't necessarily have to do it all at once. Like they'll basically
no, they'll. It's a payment plan.
yeah, they can do a payment
That's
plan for that kind of stuff.
they can't put an undue hardship on you.
Yeah,
You
yeah, yeah,
know.
yeah. So like, you have to decide what that is.
Yeah.
Section 2 here mostly has to do with your CODs and stuff.
No money.
But yeah, like it starts off, employees handling money shall account for and remit the same to the employer at the completion of each day's work. An employee's cash turning value may be verified or audited by the employer if the employer fails to verify. Like that's like as far as I know, nowhere in the country still takes cash. I've been with the company almost 20 years now, and I've never taken
No.
cash.
No.
So
No. No.
I don't expect that section right there, that first bit, is going to come into play for anybody. Let us
Yeah.
know if you know of any place in your area that still accepts cash. That would be weird. But
No cash. No cash.
to ensure the employees will not be held accountable when the employer verifies their deposits or fails to verify a deposit. I would say once again that's more cash turned in stuff, so that's not really relevant.
Yeah.
In such cases of a bona fide error, the employer will participate with participation of local union and where permitted by the applicable law shall execute a written document providing for an agreed amount, schedule reimbursement. Yeah. I've never had to deal with obviously any of this cash stuff. Now we have had checks be wrong, like for the
Yeah.
CODs and stuff, Like
Yeah.
checks be I've had like checks have bounced, I believe is what I
Hmm.
like. I've never seen it personally, but we had something like that, like a check didn't go through or something like that, and we had to do a driver follow up. Once again, that's
Yeah.
not on the driver. Like, so once again, so long as you're like following what the dyad tells you, and it's like, don't take a personal check if it says cash or money order only, that kind of thing. The
Yeah.
the
Well,
yeah.
and what's happened over the years, what we've seen is when we deal with some big jewelry places, right? In Dallas, and I'm
Yes.
sure other buildings do. You can't just treat that like it's a regular a letter or a regular ground. You have to treat it, and because you know what it is. I mean, you're
Yeah.
you're picking up. Make sure your doors are all locked when just follow the process, especially when you're signing out like a high value. You know what I'm saying? They say, "Oh, you don't have to sign for 5,000 and under." Okay, no, we're gonna sign. I mean, you got to do everything. I mean, we have stuff that's 20, 30, 100,000, whatever it is. I mean,
Yeah.
you're gonna do what you have to do. Don't skip the process. There was a driver who did that. Who was, man, I forgot how many years they were paying. The way it worked out, this was years and years and years ago, and they wound up paying out. And man, it's a shame. It's a shame.
Yeah,
So
we've got a couple of jewelry places in our area. Most of them, I don't know that most of them handle stuff in CODs anymore.
yeah,
But I've seen checks, drivers bring in checks with, and cash orders for like, 15, 20 grand sometimes.
yeah,
But once again, so long as you follow the process, you keep it safe on your person and, turn it in like you're supposed to at the end of the night, then you really shouldn't have any issues. Like this is,
yeah,
I've never had an issue turning in CODs. And this, in my building, we've never had an issue of any of them coming up missing. So, like, I don't know if that's ever happened to anybody. Please let us know if it has.
yeah,
But so long as you're doing everything you're supposed to do, you should be fine as far as this is
yeah,
concerned.
yeah. And there's not. I mean, you don't do CODs that much, right? Compared to
Well, it's taking a spike now because of all the tariffs and stuff.
well,
We've gotten
yeah,
a lot of that stuff in.
yeah, and
Yeah.
people refuse it. I
Oh
delivered
yeah.
to the SMU bookstore, and this was during the summertime, and it was weird. I'm like, why is there a COD for
Yeah.
over here? And the boxes were heavy. They're books. And it was like 20 boxes. So I didn't take them off. I went to the guy. I said, okay, let me know. And he's like, no, we're not paying for it. He says, if anything, they'll take care of that somewhere else. We're
Yeah.
not taking money. And I understood. I mean,
Yeah.
that was expected, but that's that's what's happening. But yeah, exactly. But besides it happening now, it's compared to just non-CODs. I mean, it's mostly not. So if you haven't done it in a while,
Yeah.
just make sure.
Yeah.
Ask a supervisor if just to make sure. Don't assume things if you haven't done it in a while, please, because
get
they're
get
yeah.
direction from your management. If you're
Yes.
not used to it, especially if you're a new driver or something like that. I know they go over that stuff in Intergrad, but they're not generally really detailed, and
No.
dealing with it in the moment is different from dealing with it in a classroom. So be sure ask management if you're questioning about that stuff. And once again, do it in a text message, do it over the board, something like that. So if something
Yep.
does come up missing, you can be like, hey. This is the way I was told to do it by my direct
Documented.
superior. Document it.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and and those things. And like, thankfully, like we don't have. Did you ever have to carry cash? Have you
No.
ever worked in? Okay, like I've heard stories from a few of the older drivers about the amount of cash they've had to carry in the past, and I'm just thankful
Yeah.
we don't have to deal with that anymore.
I think in New York, in Foster Avenue, one of the buildings, they have armed guards.
Yeah, I bet.
It's not the best area.
Yeah,
So,
but that's. I mean, that's it. CODs. Obviously, we don't really deal with cash much more. And then the last section of here is
it was
hopefully
added language.
is added language. Hopefully, this is not something you have to deal with, but thankfully, it's there just in case.
Yep.
Section
Yep.
3, The employer shall reimburse employees for loss of personal money or personal property in a holdup or vehicular accident while on duty, up to a maximum of $200 per employee, provided the employee promptly reports such holdup or vehicular accident if the employer and the police and cooperates in the investigation of such a holdup or vehicular accident. Employees shall be paid for all the time involved. However, reimbursement for cash loss shall be limited to $100. In addition, if employees experience theft or vandalism issues related to personal vehicles and designated employee parking lots, the applicable local union may notify the district labor manager of the issues and request a meeting with security to discuss specific concerns, as well as possible steps that can be taken to enhance security in the affected parking lot. In addition, if an employee whose personal vehicle is subject to theft or vandalism while parked in a designated company parking lot provides immediate notice to the company, obtains a police report, the company will reimburse the employee up to $500 to the extent the theft or vandalism is not covered by the employee's insurance.
Yep.
Now,
Yep.
I'm glad this language was added because we've had, and I know other places in the country have had a lot of like catalytic converter theft while their cars are in the parking lots. And, you know, for the most part, that $500 will cover their deductible if it happens. And we've had those paid out, so that hasn't been an issue. But if I get held up and somebody steals my phone, $200 is not going to cover it.
Nope.
If I get held up and somebody steals my wallet, if it doesn't have any cash in it, $100 is not going to cover it. Credit cards, debit cards. I've got to take time off to be able to deal with that because I've got to close accounts. I've got to change all of my billings for everything, and I can't do that in a day while I'm working. And you can't do it on the weekends either because everything's closed. So $100 doesn't cover that. $200, $200 doesn't pay for a fourth of a smartphone. Nowadays.
Yeah, putting a number to it, makes it work. If there was no number, then we could, maybe, work it different. But I mean, it's something. But still.
Obviously, we don't want this to happen. Like we don't want anybody. But if it does happen, I would like this company to make it whole.
Yes.
So these numbers should be changed. And if even if 100 drivers get held up a year, that's nothing. That's pocket change for this company if they've got to replace 100 phones because they get held up and get stolen.
Here's the problem. Like, first off, most, if not all, most of them, there's no fence, okay? They leave it open and, there's nothing, they put cameras in, right, in the country. They had to put more cameras and stuff like that. Well, obviously, what would have been better? A fence? And then just, would that have stopped or deterred people? I don't know. But over the years, the company has not taken responsibility. Well, that's not technically our parking lot and this, they'll play some stupid game, right? They'll say, that, no, we're not responsible and this and that. But if there's a video in the parking lot of someone punching someone else, they could fire them.
Yeah.
And that's happened. Yeah. It's like, so you're not going to be responsible for this. But I mean, they came out with this language, but still it's not enough, but it's something, but it's not enough.
Yeah. I'm not mad about the $500 covering your deductible. But I would like to change that to covering whatever your deductible is. Somebody may not have a $500. Somebody may have $1,000 deductible.
Yep.
And replacing a catalytic converter isn't cheap, and I have to show up to work every day. I have to show up to work on time every day, and my personal vehicle has to stay in that parking lot, and I should be able to have faith that the company is going to be able to keep that area safe to the point where when I get off work, I should be able to get in my car and drive home.
So I mean, the camera. So when I saw this the other day on Facebook, someone posted that someone broke into someone's car, with there no cameras.
Yeah.
Were they not in the right place?
Yeah.
Were they just? I mean, what I
But
just.
but like you said, if you decked somebody in the parking lot, there'd be a camera out there and they'd see it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they choose. I mean, and that's the thing also,
Yeah.
you have to, you really, you can't give him an inch as a
Yeah.
steward,
And
as
I mean, you can't give them an inch as a union. And
oh yeah, of course.
this
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
to me
As a
this
whole, yeah.
language. This is once again, this is good language. I'm glad it was added, but like $200, $100, $500. There shouldn't have been limiting factors in this.
So yeah, it's good, but it limits, right?
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Yeah, there shouldn't have been limited factors. Most likely, you're gonna have a $1,000 phone on you
Yep.
when you get held up, and that's probably what's gonna get taken. Like I don't have my wallet in my pocket in the truck. I keep it in my bag that's locked in the back. So if I get held up and somebody's just looking to take something from me, they're gonna take my $1,000 phone.
Yeah.
$200 not gonna cover that.
Nope. Not at all.
Yeah.
So it's there are still things that need to be worked on, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there are a lot of things that need to be worked on, but I mean, we still, no matter what, we had to discuss it. We had to bring
Yeah.
it up. You had to know your rights. And, we, like we've said before, we read certain articles, certain parts of it because they're not, we don't have to use them as much. And we want to make sure people, understand it. I mean, we explain it afterwards, but we want to read directly from it so people know and that it's there at least.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
and
yeah.
once again, like as usual, when we do these article refreshers and stuff for people, I encourage you, go read it. When you've finished listening to this podcast, just read this article. It's 3 pages ish,
Yeah. Ish.
4 pages maybe.
Yeah.
Just read the article. Just go through it and read it. Like we give you a refresher, you listen to it, great. We're happy to do this, but I cannot say this enough. Read your contract.
Yes, and if there's an issue, you can send us an email, and we can try
shoot
to
us
sort
an
that out
email,
for you.
and we'll try to get back to you as soon as we can.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Absolutely. So, all right. So I'm glad we covered this, Garfield. Loss and damage. Seems like there's a lot more loss lately, right?
Yeah.
In so many ways. But
Yeah.
all right, for myself and Garfield, everyone have a good day.
We all deal with national language, but on this podcast, when it comes to supplemental language, we deal mostly with the southern region. And as always, it's best to get advice from your local stewards or business agents. If you would like to reach out to us with any questions, we have an email address, 767realitycheck@gmail.com. That's 767realitycheck@gmail.com.
And remember, strong people stand up for themselves, but the strongest people stand up for others.